The email landed in my inbox at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. Just another corporate memo, I thought, until I saw the subject line. Morgan Industries Acquisition, Final Documentation. My hands trembled as I clicked it open, coffee forgotten on my desk. I'm Bridget, and for 10 years I've helped build Morgan Industries from a modest manufacturing company into a technological powerhouse. Or at least I thought I was helping build it. The reality? I just discovered I was nothing more than window dressing. Did you see this? I texted Sterling, my closest confidant in the industry. They sold the company, the whole damn thing. My phone rang instantly. What do you mean, sold? That's impossible without your signature on the paperwork. I laughed bitterly. Apparently not. They found a way around me. The deal closed last month. Last month? Sterling's voice rose. But you were in all those strategy meetings. Exactly. I stood up, pacing my home office. All those meetings where Sabrina kept talking about exciting future developments. Meanwhile, she and Rohan were selling the company right under my nose. The worst part? My husband Eric hadn't said a word. He must have known. His parents never made major decisions without consulting their precious son first. My desk phone lit up. Speak of the devil. Sabrina's name flashed on the caller ID. I let it ring. What are you gonna do? Sterling asked. Before I could answer, my office door creaked open. Eric stood there, looking uncomfortable in his perfectly pressed suit. Bridge, we need to talk. I'll call you back, I told Sterling, hanging up. Eric stepped inside, closing the door. Mom's trying to reach you. I noticed. I crossed my arms. Funny how she wants to talk now, after the deal's done. It's complicated, he started. Dad and Mom thought. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. 10 years, Eric. 10 years I've worked alongside your family, brought in our biggest clients, modernized our systems, and this is how they thank me? By cutting me out completely? They had their reasons. I'm sure they did. I turned to my computer, pulling up a file I'd been working on in secret. And I have mine. Eric moved closer. What's that? I closed the laptop with a snap. Nothing you need to worry about, yet. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Tell your mother I'm busy. I'm sure she understands. She's been busy herself lately, hasn't she? As I walked out, leaving Eric standing there, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Freedom. The Morgans thought they'd sidelined me. They had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a smile and a groundbreaking patent application. Show me again, Sterling said, leaning forward in his ergonomic chair. We sat in his private office, 40 stories above the city, where I knew the Morgans couldn't spy on us. I pulled out my tablet and brought up the schematics. It's an AI-driven manufacturing process. Cuts production time by 60% while reducing energy consumption by half. I swiped through the diagrams. And the best part? It's completely scalable. Sterling whistled. How long have you been working on this? 3 years, I smiled, remembering all those late nights, the hidden laptop, the secret meetings with developers. Every time Sabrina dismissed my ideas at board meetings, I'd go home and work on this instead. And they have no idea? None. I set down the tablet. I used my grandmother's inheritance to fund it. The patents pending under my maiden name. Sterling's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smirked. Speaking of the Morgans, Rohan's trying to schedule a lunch, probably wants to explain the sale. Let me guess, they're claiming it was in the company's best interest? Something like that. He tossed his phone aside. But here's what they don't know. The market's desperate for innovation right now. Your timing couldn't be better. A knock interrupted us. Sterling's assistant poked her head in. Mr. Morgan is on line 1. Says it's urgent. Of course it is, I muttered. They're probably realizing their buyer isn't as excited about their outdated processes as they thought. Sterling held up his hand to his assistant. Tell him I'm in a meeting. He turned back to me. How soon can you launch? 3 months, maybe less. I pulled up another file. I've already got interest from major manufacturers in Europe and Asia. They're tired of. My phone lit up. Eric's face appeared on the screen. I declined the call. You can't avoid him forever, Sterling said gently. Watch me. I stood up, gathering my things. He chose his side the moment he kept their plans from me. Besides, I'm too busy for family drama. I need to focus on the launch. Sterling walked me to the elevator. Just be careful, Bridget. The Morgans won't take this lying down once they realize what you've built. Good. I stepped into the elevator. Let them squirm. For once, they'll know how it feels to be powerless. As the doors closed, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Harmony, my sister-in-law, probably playing mediator like always. I switched my phone to silent and smiled at my reflection in the elevator's mirrored walls. Let them call. Let them worry. While they were scrambling to explain their betrayal, I was about to change the entire industry. And the best part? They'd never see it coming. You really should lock your office, Harmony said, making me jump. She stood in my doorway, designer handbag clutched tight against her cream blazer. Most people knock. I minimized the launch presentation on my screen. What do you want? She closed the door and perched on the edge of my desk. Mom and Dad are worried about you. You've missed 3 family dinners. Funny how they're worried now. I started gathering papers into my briefcase. Not when they were secretly selling the company. They did try to tell you. When? Before or after they signed the papers? I snapped, then caught myself. Harmony was always playing both sides, reporting back to Sabrina while pretending to be on my team. Actually, don't answer that. I have a meeting. With Sterling again? Her perfectly plucked eyebrows rose. Dad saw you at his office yesterday. Are they having me followed now? Of course not. She laughed nervously. But you know how people talk. I stood up. Yes, I do, and I'm sure you'll have plenty to tell them about this conversation. As I reached for my briefcase, a folder slipped out. Harmony grabbed it before I could stop her, and several financial documents scattered across the floor. What's this? She picked up a paper, her eyes widening. These are Mom and Dad's investment records. How did you? I snatched it back. Get out! Bridget, if you're investigating them. I said get out. She backed away, hands raised. Fine, but whatever you're planning, remember Eric still loves you. After she left, I pulled out the documents again. They'd arrived anonymously yesterday. Detailed records of massive losses in high-risk investments, mortgages on properties I never knew existed, and a pattern of desperate attempts to cover mounting debts. My phone buzzed with a text from Sterling. Major development. Call ASAP. I ducked into the stairwell for privacy. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, he said, sounding excited. Your patent just got fast-tracked. We can announce in 6 weeks instead of 3 months. Perfect timing. I glanced at the financial records. The Morgans are in deeper trouble than we thought. They didn't just sell the company for profit. They needed the cash. How do you know? Let's just say I have my sources. I heard footsteps above me. Listen, I need to go, but start preparing the press release. I want everything ready. Bridget? Sabrina's voice echoed down the stairwell. Is that you? I ended the call silently, heart pounding. Through the window in the door, I watched my mother-in-law descend the stairs, her heels clicking ominously on each step. Time to face the dragon in her den. But this time, I had fireproof armor and a few dragons of my own. Darling, we need to clear the air, Sabrina said, her silk scarf perfectly arranged despite the stuffy stairwell. This silence isn't good for the family. Family? I laughed. Is that what we're calling it now? Don't be dramatic. She stepped closer. The sale was a business decision, nothing personal. Everything's personal with you, Sabrina. A door opened above us, and voices drifted down. Sabrina grabbed my arm. Let's discuss this in private. I yanked free. Nothing to discuss. You made your choice. I'm making mine. What's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. An email from an anonymous address. Check financial records, Cayman Islands account, RM. Excuse me, I said, pushing past her. Some of us still have work to do. Back in my office, I found Eric waiting. He looked tired, his usual perfect appearance slightly rumpled. Bridge, please. He stepped toward me. Can we talk? Really talk? Like you talked to me about the sale? I wanted to tell you. He ran his fingers through his hair. But Mom and Dad, stop. I held up my hand. Just stop making excuses for them. You're not 16 anymore, Eric. I know. He slumped into a chair. The buyers, they're already making changes. Dad's devastated. The new management doesn't want his input at all. Karma's interesting that way. Is that what you want? To see my parents suffer? I sat behind my desk, creating a barrier between us. What I wanted was respect, a voice in the company I helped build. But we don't always get what we want, do we? My computer pinged. Another anonymous email, this time with bank statements showing massive transfers to offshore accounts. What's that? Eric tried to peek at my screen. I closed the laptop. Nothing that concerns you. Now, if you'll excuse me. I miss you, he blurted out. The house feels empty without you. You should have thought about that before choosing their side. There aren't supposed to be sides in a marriage. Tell that to your mother. I stood up. Now, please leave. I have a meeting. As he reached the door, he turned back. Whatever you're planning, just be careful. Mom's getting suspicious about your meetings with Sterling. I smiled. Good. She should be. After he left, I opened the anonymous emails again. Someone was feeding me information about the Morgans' financial dealings, piece by damning piece. But who? And more importantly, why now? My phone lit up with a text from Sterling. Press release drafted. You ready to shake things up? More than ready, I typed back. Time to show the Morgans what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. The parking garage was empty except for one figure leaning against a concrete pillar. As I approached, Harmony stepped into the light. It was you, I said. The anonymous emails. She nodded. Someone had to expose the truth. Why? I kept my distance, suspicious of another trap. You're their golden child. Was. She pulled out a thick folder. Until I found these, Mom and Dad didn't just sell the company, they had to. They've lost everything. I flipped through the documents, investment statements, loan applications, desperate emails to financial advisors. They gambled away the company's future? Worse, Harmony's voice cracked. They gambled away everyone's future, the pension fund, employee health care reserves. All of it went into high-risk investments. My hands shook. How long have you known? 2 weeks. I confronted them. She wiped her eyes. Mom said I was being ungrateful. Dad threatened to cut me off if I told anyone. So you told me instead. You were always smarter than them. She smiled weakly. I've seen how they treated you, but you kept working, kept innovating. While they were destroying everything, you were. A car engine roared to life nearby. Headlights swept across us. Quick, I grabbed her arm. Behind that pillar. Sabrina's Mercedes glided past our hiding spot. Through the windows, I could see her arguing with Rohan in the passenger seat. They're panicking, Harmony whispered. The buyers are asking questions about the missing funds. Good. I checked my phone. Another email from Sterling about the launch preparations. Let them panic. What are you planning? I studied her face. looking for any sign of deception. Why should I trust you? Because I'm tired of the lies. She straightened her shoulders. And because I know about your new company, the AI manufacturing system. My blood ran cold. How? I overheard Sterling on the phone. Don't worry, she added quickly, seeing my expression. Mom and Dad don't know, yet. Are you threatening me? No. She handed me another document. I'm helping you. This is proof they knew about the pension fund mismanagement months ago. Use it however you want. My phone buzzed. A text from Eric. Where are you? Mom's on the warpath. Perfect timing, I muttered. What are you going to do? Harmony asked. I tucked the documents into my bag. Watch the business news tomorrow morning. And Harmony? I turned back. Thank you, but if you're playing me, I'm not. She smiled sadly. Some families need to burn before they can rebuild. As I drove home, my phone kept lighting up with calls from Sabrina. Let her call. Tomorrow she'd have much bigger problems than my ignored voicemails. Ladies and gentlemen, I stood at the podium, cameras flashing. Welcome to the future of manufacturing. The conference hall buzzed with energy. In the front row, Sterling gave me a subtle thumbs up. Behind him, I spotted Eric slipping in through the side door, looking shell-shocked. For too long, our industry has relied on outdated methods, I continued. Today, that changes. The presentation screen lit up behind me, displaying real-time demonstrations of my AI system. Gasps rippled through the audience as they watched production times slash before their eyes. This isn't just an improvement, I said. This is a revolution. A commotion erupted at the entrance. Sabrina and Rohan burst in, their faces red with fury. Security moved to intercept them, but I raised my hand. Please, let them stay. I smiled directly at my in-laws. They should see what real innovation looks like. The demonstration continued. Questions flew from reporters and industry experts. Each answer I gave drove the point home. This technology would make traditional manufacturing methods obsolete. Ms. Olson, a reporter called out, how long have you been developing this? 3 years, I replied, watching Sabrina's face contort. While others were focused on short-term profits, I was investing in the future. And the patent? Another asked. Secured last week, I paused for effect, along with contracts from 3 major international manufacturers. Rohan collapsed into a chair, his face ashen. Sabrina gripped his shoulder, whispering frantically in his ear. After the presentation, reporters swarmed me. Through the crowd, I saw Eric approaching, but Sterling intercepted him. Bridget? Sabrina's voice cut through the chaos. She pushed through the crowd, Rohan trailing behind. How dare you, after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done? I laughed, loud enough for nearby reporters to turn. You mean like selling the company without consulting me? Or embezzling the pension fund? The room fell silent. Cameras swiveled toward us. That's a lie, Rohan sputtered. I pulled out Harmony's documents. Is it? Should we ask your investors about the Cayman accounts? You wouldn't, Sabrina hissed. Try me. I turned to the reporters. Anyone interested in a follow-up story? Hands shot up everywhere. Sabrina grabbed Rohan's arm and retreated, their perfect facade crumbling. Sterling appeared at my side. 3 more manufacturers just called. They want meetings tomorrow. Schedule them. I watched my in-laws flee through the exit. And Sterling, make sure everyone knows my company's hiring. All positions available. Eric stood by the door, staring at me with a mixture of awe and fear. I met his gaze steadily, then turned back to the reporters. Let him watch. Let them all watch. The queen they'd tried to knock off the board had just declared checkmate. Please, Bridget. Sabrina's voice had lost its usual commanding tone. She sat across from my desk, designer suit wrinkled, dark circles under her eyes. We have nowhere else to go. The buyers are investigating the missing funds, Rohan added, his hands trembling. Our assets are frozen. I leaned back in my chair, savoring the moment. And you're here because we need jobs, Sabrina whispered, the words clearly painful. Your company is the only one hiring in the industry right now. Interesting. I pulled out their old employee handbook, the one they'd used to control their workers for years. Let's discuss terms. Terms? Rohan straightened. Now, see here. Entry-level positions only. I cut him off. No executive privileges. Standard probation period. And you'll report to Sterling. Sabrina's face reddened. That's outrageous. We have 30 years of experience. Experience in running a company into the ground? I slid the employment contracts across the desk. Sign or leave, your choice. My phone buzzed. Eric's face appeared on the screen. I declined the call. He misses you, Sabrina said softly. He's a mess without you. Don't, I stood up. You don't get to play that card anymore. A knock at the door interrupted us. Harmony entered, carrying files. Sorry, am I interrupting? Not at all. I gestured to the contracts. Your parents were just leaving, with or without jobs, their decision. Rohan reached for a pen, his hand shaking. We don't have a choice. There's always a choice. I watched him sign. You just don't like the options. Sabrina signed next, each stroke of the pen seeming to physically pain her. As they stood to leave, Eric burst in. Bridge, he panted. Please, can we talk? Your parents were just leaving, I said coldly. You can show them out. I'm not leaving. He turned to his parents. Give us a minute. After they left, Eric slumped into a chair. I've been an idiot. Yes, you have. I want to come home. He looked up, eyes red. I'll take any job here. Janitor, security guard, anything. It's not about the job, Eric. I know. He stood up, moving closer. It's about trust, loyalty, everything I forgot when I chose their side. My phone buzzed again, Sterling with updates on new contracts. The empire I'd built was growing by the day. Please, Eric whispered, give me a chance to make it right. I studied him, the man I'd loved, the boy who'd never stood up to his parents, the husband who'd betrayed me. But something had changed. For the first time, he looked free. One chance, I said finally. But first, you need to hear what your parents really did with those pension funds. He sat down, ready to listen. Maybe, just maybe, there was hope for one Morgan after all. Employee of the month? I smirked at the framed photo of Sabrina hanging in the break room. Sterling has an interesting sense of humor. She's actually doing well in customer service, Harmony said, stirring her coffee. Who knew Mother had it in her? Through the window, I watched Rohan giving a factory tour to new clients. He'd memorized every detail of my AI system, his enthusiasm genuine. Sometimes the best revenge was giving people a chance to reinvent themselves. Eric's presentation went well this morning, Harmony mentioned casually. The European investors were impressed. I nodded. Eric had thrown himself into learning the technology, working his way up from the ground floor. No shortcuts, no family favors, just hard work and determination. My phone buzzed. Sterling needed me in the conference room. As I walked through the factory floor, employees nodded respectfully, not out of fear like they had with the Morgans, but with genuine appreciation. There she is, Sterling beamed as I entered. The Wall Street Journal wants to do a cover story, The Future of Manufacturing, focusing on our employee-first approach, including our rehabilitation program for corrupt executives, I joked. Especially that. He handed me the draft. It's quite a redemption story. Not redemption, I corrected. Evolution. A knock at the door, Eric with lunch. Thought you might be hungry. He set down 2 containers. Dad's giving another tour. He's different now, happy even. Amazing what honest work can do. I opened the container, breathing in the aroma of my favorite pasta. Bridge, Eric said softly. Thank you, not just for giving them a second chance, but for showing me what real leadership looks like. Sterling excused himself, leaving us alone. I didn't do it for them, I said. Or for you. I know, Eric smiled. You did it because it was right, because you're better than they were. My phone lit up with a message from Sabrina. Customer satisfaction ratings up 15% this quarter. Thought you'd want to know. I showed Eric the message. Your mother's learning humility, and I'm learning to stand up to her. He took my hand. Starting with tonight, I told them we're having dinner alone. No family drama, no business talk. I squeezed his hand. Sounds perfect. Looking out over the factory floor, I watched Rohan high-fiving workers, Sabrina efficiently handling calls, and Harmony training new staff. The empire I'd built wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about transformation. Ready for that dinner? Eric asked. I grabbed my coat. Lead the way. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's showing them a better way to live. And maybe, just maybe, finding peace in the process.